These videos were not designed as mere entertainment. These lessons were designed to help children build a relationship with Jehovah so they can live.
Discerning parents do not pressure their children to get baptized. They assist each child in keeping with his or her own growth and spiritual progress. I recall I once met an 8-year-old girl in Denver, Colorado, who was baptized at 8 years of age. By that time, she had read the entire Bible through twice.
I grew up as one of Jehovah Witnesses and I have a lot of good memories. In this video, I would like to focus on the pressure it is for children when they grow up as Jehovah Witnesses. The pressure it is to join the religion and to do things that benefits the Watchtower organization. And I would like to focus on how they use double speak in their communication. So if you're a Jehovah Witness watching this, just want you to know that I have no problem with you, and I hope you have no problem with me. Just because I don't believe in your religion doesn't make me a bad person. And I've been a pioneer, and I've been on Bethel, and when you're on Bethel, you realize that the Watchtower is very much a business organization, and that's why I decided to be sitting here. The sound quality is a little bit bad, but I just wanted to prove a point that I'm not better than you. I never said I was better than you, because I'm a goat owner, and for me to make a good business, I want as many kids as possible. And Watchtower, the business part of Watchtower, wants as many kids as possible. In my case, in order to be successful, I need twins or triplets. So that's why I'm here. I just want to prove a point that I'm not better than Watchtower. However, I never said that I was better than anyone else. Watchtower do say that they are better than other people and they are an exceptional religion. Because why would you join a religion unless it was exceptional? So that's why I'm sitting here with my goats. But since I have been on Bethel and I know the business mentality, I think Gerrit Lösch is making a Freudian slip here. Listen to this.
Christian parents value and appreciate you children more than $1 million. How do we know?
What about you Christian parents? What gift can you present to Jehovah? Your children. When you do your best to bring your children up in the discipline and admonition of Jehovah, you are preparing a gift to your God.
What does the governing body want to tell you children? That we love you. We are so happy to have you with us, and we would like to help you to become and remain worshippers of Jehovah. You are like a beautiful gift, a special gift from Jehovah. Christian parents value and appreciate you children more than $1 million. How do we know?
If we think about it, a small donation from each of many of Jehovah's people adds up to a large amount of dedicated funds.
It's not a big deal when Gerrit Lösch say that a child is worth more than $1 million, but it's a very weird thing to say to talk about a child and $1 million. I think it's a Freudian slip because from a business perspective, they are worth more than $1 million. If you have millions of Jehovah Witness children and you teach them with colored Sophia videos that Jehovah needs their ice cream money in order to make more Sophia videos, well, that's more than $1 million, literally. It's not a big point. But I wanted to talk about the double speak. When you're a Jehovah Witness, you always believe what the governing bodies say. And you sometimes been thinking, why do I believe what they say? Where I always believe when they say something different, I also believe that. Like when they say, Jehovah Witness never asked for donation. However, we would like you to show your appreciation to Jehovah by giving him money. They also say we don't baptize children. And then they say we baptize 8-year-olds. They also say we don't pressure children. And you believe it. And then they talk about an 8-year-old that read the Bible twice. And you believe that. And on one point you actually think about that. How is it possible for my brain to be believing the two things at once? We never ask for donations, we want donations. That's because of the doublespeak. When you learn to listen to doublespeak since you were a small child, your brain will adapt because it's painful. If I tell you that 1 is the same as 5, is the same as 8, is the same as 9, is the same as 1, is the same as 3, your brain will eventually turn off and just listen to the last thing I said. Simple as that. It is a brainwashing technique.
A brother from Portugal wrote, "Aside from family worship, my father had a separate Bible study on a different day with each of us 3 children. I'm sure that these studies were very important for us to resist all of the pressures at school. It is no surprise that all 3 children have been in special full-time service for a number of years now." Similarly, a brother from northern Italy wrote, "We studied with each one of our children personally, in harmony with their age and gender. Each family head must decide what is best for his family. Most young ones can quote 1 Corinthians 15:33 by heart. Maybe it is because their parents have reminded them of the principle so often. Bad associations spoil useful habits. But what can happen if after responding to your training from God's Word, your child is somehow exposed to bad association? When young ones spend considerable time with other young ones who have not been trained by Bible principles, it can counteract your training from God's Word. Psalm 1, verse 1 says that we can be happy if we do not walk with, stand with, or sit with those who do what is bad. And we could add to that, and to not text or email others who do not think wholesome thoughts, Help your children to choose good associates.
Maybe you noticed that Watchtower have a very special cadence when they talk. They use loaded language. Like if a normal person would say, "while we await," Watchtower will always say something like, "while we willingly await." And a normal person might even say, "would you like to wait? It's your decision." But Watchtower will say, "while we willingly await." And just state a fact, but also that you want to do what they describe as a fact. And it's a kind of bit sinister when they do it to children.
There are so many children earthwide who are fine examples for others by means of their love for Jehovah and the truth. Parents, will your children become good examples for other young ones in the truth? One father of 7 children, all of whom grew up as lovers of Jehovah, would always tell new parents that there are no guarantees with children. They each have their own personality and are exposed to various outside influences. But he would always urge new parents to do the best they can to teach their children and reach their hearts. Your conscientious effort increases the possibility of them becoming a success in Jehovah's service.
Am I reading too much into this? Let me know in the comment. But I think when you grow up with the Watchtower propaganda constantly, 5 meetings in the week, Bible study, you're listening to cassette, it will mold your thinking. And the thing I don't like about this is that they kind of try to remove your personality. Like they talk about Watchtower, it is high moral, it's valuable, it's love, it's heart, it's only positive word, it's harmony. When they talk about people that leave the organization, like me, it's unfaithful, living a life of butchery. And when they talk about school, they will say pressure, danger. And when they talk about not having an education, they will say it's for your protection. Protection from what? Education? It's a very loaded language. But what I especially don't like when they talk about negative things, they say there's no guarantee children have their own personality. As a Jehovah Witness child, you're actually told that you should remove your own personality. And if you watch as much Jehovah Witness propaganda as I do, due to my activism, you realize that when they use the word personality, it's always a negative thing. That's my activism goes. Because these are my signs. I arrange a lot of protests. And it's just a UN Convention of the Human Rights. And people ask, what do you really mean? And I turn it. And hopefully there's no goat shit ban. Because children have the right to have their own personality. Children have the right to their own identity. Children have, according to Article 14 and 15, the right to choose their own religion and belief. That's why I'm not okay with the Watchtower telling children that they have to remove their own personality.
Never be ashamed of who you are. You are one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
How do you control someone's personality? If you want someone to change their personality, how do you do it? Well, first of all, you need to control their identity. You have to tell them who they are, and you have to tell them that there's something wrong with who they are. They are a sinner. They're made of dust. They are imperfect. And then you have to say that if you identify with something that we approve, then you're happy, you're happy, you're happy, you're righteous, you're godlike, and you will live. Opposite of live would be die. So they say, if you do this, you will live. It's a death threat. But also, if you control the language of someone, you kind of control their brain. So there's people have been writing letters to the Watchtower talking about how happy they are. And let's hear these letters and let me know if you think that Watchtower wrote them themselves. Because most of them sound like they were written by the writing department. Because they use a cadence that no child would use. Please listen to this.
One young person from the United States wrote in saying, I'm 11 years old and I am an unbaptized publisher. I can't thank you enough for all that you do. I especially appreciate all the time and effort you put into the Caleb and Sophia videos. I love these videos. They help me to show good conduct at school. I'm grateful that you encourage family worship. You see, I used to have doubts about Jehovah. If it were not for the time at family worship, I probably would have drifted more and more. I probably would have drifted more and more.
Does this really sound like something an 11-year-old would say? That I would be drifting and drifting more away? That's not how children speak. That's how Watchtowers speak. But if a child actually would speak like that, it would be because he adopted someone else's way of speaking. And in this case, this child is held up as a good example.
I love Jehovah and want to serve him, but I still have lots to work on. I hope you will make more videos to help me and other young ones to serve Jehovah with our whole heart and whole soul.
I don't think it's a real example. I think the writing department wrote this. But even if it was a real example, it's kind of creepy that a child talk like the writing department. That is a big part of chipping away someone's personality. To have them talk like the Watchtower writing department. I don't believe it's true.
A sister in Asia, she says, looking back on the training I received from my parents, I am so thankful that they disciplined me and taught me to love Jehovah. They did not just give me life, they gave me a meaningful life.
This Asian sister says she is happy with the discipline she got from her parents that led her to Jehovah. Do you believe it's true that she actually wrote this? I don't. It might be a true story, but I don't think so. Because imagine if a Jehovah Witness think that my parents were the greatest parents, what would you do? Well, you would write a letter to your parents. This portrayed the idea that if my parents are good, I should write a letter of thank you to the governing body. My parents were so wonderful. Thank you, Gerrit Lösch. It's a really weird thing. So I don't think it's true. But I think Gerrit Lösch wants it to be true. But then one thing she say is that she was happy for the discipline that made her believe in Jehovah.
I'm so thankful that they disciplined me and taught me to love Jehovah.
I don't think people talk like that. Because when you meet someone I used to be Jehovah Witness and I loved, and I would say that I'm so happy that I'm the 4th generation. Or you say, I'm so happy that all of the family are together in serving Jehovah. You would say stuff like that. But these kids say that he's happy, grateful for the discipline that made her believe in Jehovah. So there was a situation where the kid do not believe in Jehovah, received discipline, and then she does believe in Jehovah. I'm not okay with that. The children don't believe in Jehovah, receive discipline, and then believe in Jehovah. That is pressuring a child. And according to the UN Convention of Rights of the Child, children should be allowed to make their own opinion, form their own identity, and express their views.
We can be happy if we do not walk with, stand with, or sit with those who do what is bad. And we could add to that, and to not text or email others who do not think wholesome thoughts, Help your children to choose good associates.
When you grow up as a Jehovah Witness, you're constantly talked about bad association, and that's obviously all the people that are not Jehovah Witnesses, but also within the congregation, that if someone has the wrong attitude, they should be shunned. According to Norwegian law, shunning a child is emotional violence and is illegal. Imagine if you're a child and you say, I don't believe in Jehovah. What will happen? Well, you're not allowed to have friends on the outside, and you will not be invited to Jehovah Witnesses. Gerrit Lösch go as far as to say that you should avoid people that are not entertaining wholesome thoughts. So while a child have the right to express their own opinion, according to Gerrit Lösch, you should shun a child if they are thinking the wrong thoughts. I'm not okay with that, but Gerrit Lösch is. So let's move on to Caleb and Sophia, the cartoon that proves that God is real.
We've grown quite attached to these characters, haven't we? In our next segment, Brother Anthony Morris of the governing body discusses how this series has helped children and their parents.
The Become Jehovah's Friends series has proved to be a real gift from Jehovah. Through these Bible lessons, children can learn to be kind, to be honest, to be respectful, and to develop other godly qualities that help them see and obey the one who is invisible.
Jehovah loves you very much for obeying him, Caleb.
That help them see and obey the one who is invisible.
I'm open to the idea that the Caleb and Sophia videos can teach children valuable lessons about being kind, being generous, and being respectful. But that would also include respect to people that don't want to be a Jehovah Witness. Like me, I don't want to be a Jehovah Witness. I want to be a goat farmer. What I do not like with the Caleb and Sophia videos is the concept of conditional love. They will tell you Jehovah loves you if you're obedient. Mommy and Daddy loves you if you're obedient. Obedient, obedient, obedient. And then constantly play this song bum, ba, ba, bum, ba, 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 in the background, which stands for listen, obey, and be blessed. They constantly play the song, listen, obey, and be blessed. And that is quite manipulative to use against children, because when children hear that your parents love you when you are obedient, well, those children will start performing. They will do the tasks they need to do in order to receive love. And that's not okay. Caleb should be loved because he's Caleb. There's nothing wrong with being Caleb. There's nothing wrong with being Sophia. God should love Sophia for being Sophia. But instead, in the witness culture, they will make you feel bad about yourself. They say, you're not good enough because 6,000 years ago, someone ate fruit and you're made of dust. And you're made of dust, you're small. You're small and you're made of dust. And Jehovah is big and wonderful and you're made of dust. But he loves you if you obey. I think that's very manipulative. Shouldn't a religion that claim to be exceptional have a way of communication that should be exceptional? If the Jehovah Witnesses had a way of communicating that was exceptional, I would not be making this video. I'm not getting, well, I do have patrons, thank you very much, but I do this video because I care about children and I care about people that leave the religion and need to unwind what happened to us as children. Because when your parents told you that they only loved you because you were a Jehovah Witness, you thought that you have to be a Jehovah Witness. That's what children do. And that was not fair to you, and it wasn't fair to me. And they're still doing it. That's why I have my sign. And we will start protesting soon. So please like and subscribe and share the video. It doesn't take you a long time to subscribe, but it means a lot to me. It's a little encouragement. Because what Watchtower do to children is not okay. It's not. And also there's an element of death threats. When they tell you you have to be obedient, they will always show a picture of someone that was disobedient, that is dead or in the process of dying.
Do you really want to play with something that Jehovah hates? Do you remember who we learned about at family worship? Who is this?
Adam and Eve.
Right. Did they obey Jehovah?
No, they disobeyed Jehovah.
The Caleb and Sophia videos are made so you may live and continue to serve Jehovah. So your life is depending on the Caleb and Sophia cartoon. Would you, as a parent, be okay with any other organization talk that way to your children? What if they say that Spider-Man is made so you may live and continue to buy our magazine? That Spider-Man only loves you if you're obedient? That your life is depending on staying away from children that don't like Spider-Man? You should not talk to children that don't like Spider-Man. Mommy and Daddy only loves you if you love Spider-Man. And Spider-Man wants you to devote his life to support the organization that made Spider-Man possible, and so you may live. I would not be okay with any organization to talk to a child like that. And remember that I never said that I'm better than Watchtower. Watchtower say they're better than me. Watchtower say that they are exceptional.
How can we begin to understand the far-reaching impact this series has had on Christian families? We're going to let Christian parents tell how these videos have helped their children to become Jehovah's friend.
Katie Ann had a really hard time working together with the older brothers and sisters in the congregation.
I had a really hard time because they're kind of slow. But lesson 25, making friends, was just what I needed. Sophia liked chatting with Sister Elsa, even though she's so old. So I can do that too.
These videos strengthened my relationship with Jehovah.
I got baptized because I love Jehovah with my whole heart. Jehovah still loves me, even though I'm made from dust and I'm so little.
Something must be wrong when a grown woman say that her faith in God was strengthened by a cartoon. Something must be wrong, but that's not my problem. My problem is the girl that say that Jehovah loves me even I am made of dust and I am small. Someone told her that she's made of dust. Someone told her that she's small. Someone told her that she is not worthy of love. She has to perform to be loved. She has to be baptized. She has to do actions to be loved. That's not nice to do to a child. And obviously, if the creator of the universe created of her of dust, well, then it's his fault.
Now, that is some wise thinking on the part of that young brother.
Laura, our middle child, was perfectly healthy until she turned 4 years old. That's when she was diagnosed with a rare tumor in her central nervous system. Unfortunately, when the treatment was over, Laura passed away.
Even while she was sick, she just loved watching the videos. Her favorite one was Let's Go in Service. This video really made her want to talk about Jehovah.
Discerning parents do not pressure their children.
And our family would take advantage of those times to go and field service together, as a family, all together. That made Laura so happy.
It does us good to remember why the Become Jehovah's Friends series was created. These videos were not designed as mere entertainment to simply pacify children for a short period of time. These lessons were designed to help children build a relationship with Jehovah so they can live. Jehovah loves Christian parents. He sees how hard you work to impress a love for God deep in your child's heart. Impress a love for God deep in your child's heart.
Discerning parents do not pressure their children.
Impress a love for God deep in your child's heart. But more important, how do you think Jehovah feels, knowing that a young child can come to know him through this animated series?
I think Jehovah would feel like Superman or Spider-Man, maybe the Incredible Hulk. Because if Jehovah knew that children would believe he's a real person because they watched a cartoon, I think he would feel like a cartoon character. An invisible cartoon character that don't like certain toys and always need donations.
That is truly special.
Yes, Tony, that would be something special. A cartoon figure that's even invisible in his own cartoon. But he will kill his children if they play with toys that he doesn't like. Yes, that would be something special. I had to move up here because I never thought I would say this, but sometimes there can be too many goats. And it's a nightmare editing all the screaming goats. And I always had to start my monologues over and over and over when they start screaming. So why do I do it? Why do I do it? Well, I'm actually making a point here, because when I was a kid, I had dreams and aspirations, and one of the things I wanted to do was that I wanted to be a goat farmer in Norway. I grew up in Sweden, but I wanted to be a goat farmer in Norway. And my Jehovah Witness parents said that, well, that's a very selfish of you. You can't be a goat farmer. You can be a goat farmer in paradise. Or you can work on Bethel. Because Bethel has a farm. So if you want to be a farmer and you work for Watchtower, maybe you can work on Watchtower farm. So I'm kind of making that point. Why would it be selfish for a Jehovah Witness child to have a dream of being a goat farmer, while it's okay for Watchtower to have Watchtower farm? WTF, actually. Why is it okay for Watchtower to have WTF but I cannot have my own farm. As a child, I couldn't understand this, but they said, you as an individual is not important, only the organization is important. You are made of dust. So, now I have my own farm. Thank you very much. I always end my videos with "See you in paradise." I'm not going to end now. Please continue to listen to the end, because I take a lot of time making these videos. I started making this video on Monday, and now it's Friday. So I actually spent the whole week editing this. It takes incredible amount of time. So thanks for my patrons, and my biggest patron would be my worldly woman, my wife, that never been a Jehovah Witness, but she shares my passion of protecting children, because children should not be treated this way, that you teach them that they are made of dust, they are nothing, they are not good enough, and they should obey a cartoon character that's always broke. Always broke. This cartoon character is the invisible no money man.
As we heard, Become Jehovah's Friend is much more than an enjoyable animated series. Children must make the truth their own, to establish their identity as a servant of Jehovah. To establish their identity as a servant of Jehovah. That's the topic of the next episode of My Teen Life.
Me and my mum started attending meetings and studying the Bible when I was 5 years old. When I was 13, I decided to get baptized.
I decided to dedicate my life to Jehovah when I was 14. To me, Jehovah is a wonderful God. He's not just a friend you can count on, but also a father. I don't have a spiritual father here on earth, but I have Jehovah as my father.
This apostate had to move down to the bedroom because I think Jehovah's Holy Spirit made my camera glitch in the cold temperatures outside. However, I think I'm protected from Jehovah's Holy Spirit here in the unrepentant porneia part of my house. So what did you think about the segment Watchtower had for teenagers that they should identify as a Jehovah Witness? They ask, who are you? And the first thing the kids say is, my mother started studying when I was 5. So his identity started when he met Watchtower. And that's not special. Many brands want that. You want women to say that I'm a Gucci girl, and you want families to say that we are a Volvo family. I actually grew up in a Volvo family, and I am very proud of being a Volvo person, and I look down at other Scandinavians that have Saab. Because I am a Volvo, a righteous Volvo person. And I defend the Volvo brand. Because growing up in a Volvo family, it makes something with you. And the same YouTubers do the same. I will not ask my subscribers to subscribe. I will say something like, are you a goat? Welcome among the 144,000 subscribers. All businesses do this, that they try to identify, get the customers to identify with the product. However, it's sinister to do it to a child, especially when you use propaganda that say that someone wants to kill you, you will die unless you subscribe to our cartoon hero. Or what do you say, Stephen Lett?
Jehovah doesn't want Satan, who is described as a roaring, devouring lion at 1 Peter 5:8. He doesn't want him to gobble down you young ones. And his laws and principles are designed to keep that from happening to you.
I wanted to understand better from a more scientific standpoint that Jehovah really created all things. So I read a lesson from the brochure Origin of Life. From that, I saw how Jehovah really made everything in a very complex way, and that there was no other explanation.
Jehovah still loves me, even though I'm made from dust and I'm so little.
Jehovah really created all things.
Please let me know in the comment section what you thought about this segment. I found it very hard to watch because there were 3 different levels of manipulation, so I would have to make a separate video about that. So hit the notification bell if you want to see it. Growing up as a Jehovah Witness, they would always separate me from my Jehovah Witness identity. So they will say, you, Jonas, you're dust, you're imperfect, you deserve to die because someone ate fruit 6,000 years ago. But on the other hand, you can say, as a Jehovah Witness, you are righteous, you have high moral, and you should be thankful that God allow you to be one of Jehovah Witness, even though you're dust, you're imperfect. Jehovah Witnesses even went so far that they removed the word grace from the Bible. They changed it to undeserved kindness because you don't deserve kindness. Well, actually that's wrong. If you're a Jehovah Witness kid watching this, you do deserve kindness. And you have the right to not be a Jehovah Witness. If that's what you want. You also have the right to be a Jehovah Witness. It is your choice. It is your choice to find out what you do. But I have to comment one more thing. When religious people, I'm not an atheist, when the religious people talk about why their religion is true, they will often say that, well, look at the human eye. The human eye is complicated. And therefore, there is a God, his name is Allah, and Islam is true. Some other people would say that, well, look at the brain. The brain is so complicated. This proves that there is a God. And his name is Jehovah, and you have to be one of the governing body's members of Watchtower. Well, I believe in Almighty Bob the Shiny Bucketeer. And as a Shiny Bucketeer, I believe that Almighty Bob created the first man of amino acid. So if the argument that the creation is complicated, well, that is a good argument that Almighty Bob the Shiny Bucketeer is the one true God, because he did create the first man of amino acid. Jehovah say that he created the brain of dust. I can tell you one thing, the brain is not made of dust. I believe Almighty Bob created the first man of amino acid, then he created the first woman of bacon.
In our next segment, we'll see how Jehovah's spiritual family helped Brother Bastian Nyirenda endure years of intense hardship.
In the mid-1960s, when I was pioneering, the political system was changing rapidly in the country, making it difficult for brothers to maintain their neutral stand. Brothers were beaten, their Bibles and literature banned for refusing to buy political party cards. They burned down the brothers' homes and Kingdom Hall in my area. At my workplace, it became known that I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses and was arrested. I was taken to Chichiri prison and later transferred to Zomba prison, where they kept condemned criminals. I was kept in a cell next to the execution gallows. I thought I was also going to be executed as well. Spiritual food was smuggled into the country by bicycle couriers who were traveling hundreds of kilometers. The magazines were printed on Bible paper, which is much lighter than the regular paper, so that the couriers could carry double the amount. We also were supplied with the mini magazines that could be folded and be put into a pocket. One day, we received a smuggled copy of the yearbook, which used to also contain the daily text. So what we did was that we copied all the day's text on the toilet tissues, and then we sent some of these to our sisters who were on the other prison blocks. All these were wonderful provisions from Jehovah that helped us quite a lot to be kept spiritually strong.
The government in Malawi wanted everyone to have a party card, and Jehovah Witnesses could not do that. Well, a better way of describing that is to say that Jehovah Witnesses could not do that according to the governing body's policy that they claim is based on the Bible. So I can give you an example. That's why I buy this tractor, because this is an old tractor. If I would have a new tractor, there would be a Norwegian flag here. And just as a member card in a political party, Jehovah Witnesses don't like that, but they also don't like flags. So when a government come up with something, then Watchtower have to make a policy. Do we agree with this or not? So I remember when this policy came in Norway, that you need to have a Norwegian flag on this, I asked, I was a PMO, but I just asked, as a Jehovah Witnesses, can we do that? And all Jehovah Witnesses said, well, we can do that because Watchtower said it's okay. So then is the question, do they serve the governing body or do they serve the Bible? Because let's say that the governing body would have said that you cannot have a flag on your car, well then Jehovah Witnesses in Norway would be willing to go to jail and be persecuted for not having a flag. And there's a Bible, it says that they asked Jesus, is it okay to pay the taxes? And this was a tax that everyone had to pay. In Norwegian it's called a head tax. If you have a head, you have to pay the tax. And in a country with only one political party, that political party would be a piece of the infrastructure. So if everyone pays something that benefits the infrastructure, it's basically a tax. Because in Scandinavia we have government churches. So they play a very little role today, but they still is part of our infrastructure. But back in the day it was a bigger problem. So when a Jehovah Witness became a Jehovah Witness and he had to pay taxes to the government and to the church, a lot of Jehovah Witnesses said, well, I can't pay taxes to the church. And then the governing body made a decision about policy and said, well, it's okay to pay the church tax. And I don't know all the details, but I remember when I was a kid, the Jehovah Witnesses talked about this, the church tax, and they always said, well, the governing bodies say it's okay to pay because we're paying for infrastructure. So how come in Sweden it was okay to pay taxes to the Swedish church, a small percentage, something like that, because it's a part of infrastructure? While in Malawi, you cannot pay to a political party, even though it's an infrastructure. I would not, if you have only one party or two parties in a country, I would actually not call it a functioning democracy. But it is a part of the infrastructure. In a one-party system, like in the Soviet, the party would have a pre-election, and then they would have their political nominee, so you can choose between Communist A, Communist B, Communist C. And in other countries with two parties, they would normally have, you can choose between asshole 1 and dickhead 2. It's not a real democracy, I'm sorry to say that. I think unlimited, I believe in parliamentarism and democracy, not one-party system, two-party system, but that's not the point. The point is, if you have a two-party system, they do a lot of the legwork prior to an election. And if you're okay with that system, then you also have to accept that it's part of your infrastructure. And in Malawi, with only one party, it would be a part of the infrastructure. That means that this thing would be taxation. So on a Wednesday meeting, the governing body have meetings in Wednesday. They got a letter from Malawi that's very far away from Brooklyn, and it's about black people. So I'm sorry, but maybe not the most important thing in America. And they say, oh, they have to buy a political card. And they have a votation. They say it's not okay. And they never thought it would be such a big thing. But these people were tortured. And the governing body cannot back down and say, well, maybe you could do like they do in Sweden, or like in Mexico, or in Norway. No, it's like, we have to stand firm. So I think actually the governing body should apologize to these nice black brothers, because what they did was not necessary. But then when Watchtower tells stories about persecution, a normal religious organization, they would focus on prayer, that we pray to God, or maybe God send an angel something like that. But when Watchtower tells stories about persecution, the God of the love from God is always a link from concentration camp to Warwick. So they show, oh, printed paper. God's love come through printed paper. It might be toilet paper, it might be thin paper, it might be smuggled, but God will always have to establish a link from God, Brooklyn, printed paper, and then you receive God's love. It's a very much about governing body, the whole religion. So you can't have God's love without printed paper.
There is a story about a child psychologist who began his practice with 4 theories and no children. Some years later, he found that he had 4 children and no theories. And the best counsel on raising a child, of course, is found in the Bible. We know that because the reminder of Jehovah is trustworthy, making the inexperienced one wise. That's what I read, so I believe it.
Malawi used doublespeak because it is effective. A trained Jehovah Witness will always believe the last sentence he hears from Watchtower. So when Malawi makes fun of his child psychologist with theories, with no children of his own, Jehovah Witnesses believe that. And then, when he declares that he himself, with no children of his own, have all the right answers, they believe that. Because when you're trained to listen to doublespeak, you will always believe the last thing they say. But when a child hears that his parents' love is conditional, not necessarily that they are Jehovah Witness. Maybe one parent wants his kid to be a football player. Maybe they want a kid to play violin. But if the child pick up that my parents' love is related to the tasks I have to perform, well, then a child will start to perform. That's common knowledge. The problem I have with Watchtower is that they take this to the extreme level. The extreme level that the child are not allowed to talk to other children if they think something else than wholesome thoughts. A child can be bullied and shunned while being a child as bad association due to thought crime. Well, then that child will learn to perform correct thoughts. I did that.
If a child is trained according to the Bible's counsel, the parent or parents are creating the most favorable circumstances to bring about a marvelous result. That marvelous result is a faithful servant of Jehovah God. How many parents are so delighted with their children, especially in the case of so many who are serving at Bethel. There at Proverbs 23:24, it says, "The father of a righteous one will surely be joyful. Whoever fathers a wise son will rejoice in him." And it does. It brings great pleasure to parents when that happens. But there's another side to the coin. Despite the most earnest efforts of parents, some children do become unfaithful. Some children do become unfaithful. Even Jehovah had sons who proved unfaithful, the angels who turned away from their Father, their Creator. And something to keep in mind for parents particularly who have really tried hard to raise their children properly. We don't want to see them beat themselves, figuratively speaking, on and on for years and years because they feel like they're failures. And even when children do turn aside from serving Jehovah, parents who have conscientiously trained their children in the way to walk, they can still entertain the hope that those young ones will come back someday. Well, those who leave the truth, many times it's reminders that come back to them, the way it was at home, the counsel they received from their parents, the loving congregation that they attended. And who comes to mind when you think about the reminders coming to mind after living a life of debauchery? They do many times later on, and they go through experiences in life sometimes that wakes them up to the facts of life and reality. The truth is, there are thousands upon thousands of children of Jehovah's Witnesses who are being raised in the truth and whose way is pure and right. It really is thrilling to see young ones who they're able to think. They don't just parrot what their parents tell them. They're not just memorizing things.
Most young ones can quote 1 Corinthians 15:33 by heart. Maybe it is because their parents have reminded them of the principle so often.
They're able to think. They don't just parrot what their parents tell them. They're not just memorizing things. They've learned to have thinking ability, and they can speak about the truth. They defend the truth in a very interesting way.
How can Bible training make the inexperienced one wise? You will enjoy listening to the encouraging experience from young brother Tim, when he was interrupted, scolded by a worldly woman that stated, "I cannot understand." How did young brother Tim react when he got this thrown in his face? Did the Bible training help him to make his own decision? And did it make the inexperienced one so wise that he himself could take a really, really important decision and also explain complicated medical procedures when he was only 11 years old? Could the biblical teaching from the Watchtower organization make him capable of taking this decision, or was it a violation of Article 3 and Article 6 in the UN Convention of the Rights of a Child?
At the last house to be visited that morning, Tim spoke to the householder and read a Bible verse to her. She interrupted him to ask what his religion was. When Tim replied that he was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, the woman scolded him and said to his mother that she could not understand why Jehovah's Witnesses let their children die rather than allow them to accept blood transfusions. Well, that would be a difficult thing to have thrown in your face, a young man there at the door with his mother. Tim's mother suggested that the woman ask the boys how they felt about this. She did. Tim explained that he would always choose alternative treatment rather than go against his Bible-trained conscience. This was from this young boy himself. This was from this young boy himself, his Bible-trained conscience. If a child is trained according to the Bible's counsel, the parent, this was from this young boy himself, his Bible-trained conscience. Sam then said, the other young boy, that his own sister had received alternative treatment and had fared better than patients who had received blood.
It is a lot of pressure growing up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. My parents had 5 kids. All of us got baptized as children, and 4 of them are still faithful. I'm the only one that left, but I can tell you that the majority of my siblings do not believe in the Watchtower religion. However, if they leave, they will lose relationships to my parents, their wives, their husbands, co-workers. So they have to stay due to the concept of bullying, because disfellowshipping is bullying. Well, if my siblings are watching this, some of them have children, some of them have not. Are you okay that an organization tell your children that they are dust, that they are imperfect, that they are not worthy? They should feel bad about themselves. However, they should be happy about being Jehovah's Witnesses. And being a Jehovah's Witness is more important than family. Are you okay that a multi-billion organization talk this way to your kids, like they spoke to us when we were kids? Are you okay with that? In the segment My Teenage Life, there was a young boy that grew up in what Watchtower would describe as a divided household. It was only his mother that was a Jehovah's Witness. And then when she later got disfellowshipped, he was described like he was some kind of orphan. He didn't have anyone. So his worldly father is not really a person. His disfellowshipped mother is not really a person. The message is, Jehovah Witnesses are your true family. The girl from the same segment, she said, I have no spiritual father. Then they moved on to describe that Jehovah is my father. Her worldly father is not really considered to be her father. It's Jehovah Witnesses that are your family. It's very sinister. So if you're my siblings watching this, and you stay as Jehovah Witnesses because it's uncomfortable for you to leave, I know everything about that. Believe it or not, my own siblings are shunning me, even if they themselves don't believe. People can be real assholes sometimes. But the point is, if you don't believe and you realize that what happened to you, me, and our 5 siblings was hurtful. Our parents told us that we were made of dust and we deserve to die. And you think, I'm gonna stay anyway because my kids can shake it off. Well, maybe they don't. Maybe you will be the parent that doesn't exist.
In our program, we have been reminded that each of us belongs to a loving global family, Jehovah's family. And as our new music video shows, each of us can help others become part of our spiritual family.
In this world, it's hard to find a friend, someone you can turn to, who's with you till the end. I used to dream I'd find a people who could be more than just some friends, and more like family. My search is over. I've come to know I've finally found God's people. I feel the love they show. Now we love each other. Our bond is strong.
Somehow exposed to bad association? When young ones spend considerable time with other young ones who have not been trained by Bible principles, we can be happy if we do not walk with, stand with, or sit with those who do what is bad.
Now it's time for our video postcard, which comes to us from Zambia.
Yay! Postcard from Zambia. So the question would be, how do the love from Jehovah reach the brothers in Zambia? Is it printed paper, a flash drive, or satellite connection to jw.org? How do love reach the brothers in Zambia? Printed paper, flash drive, or satellite to jw.org? If you can guess that, you will win something big and expensive and invisible. I can guarantee that.
Today, Zambia is home to more than 225,000 Jehovah's Witnesses. To serve publishers in areas with poor network service, the circuit overseer pre-records his talks, transfers the files onto a flash drive, and delivers the files to the elders, who then distribute the talks.
Sadly, some people have been showing a lack of appreciation for Goatlike personality. They have been overly critical, and they forget that he's an imperfect man. But he is the only one that Almighty Bob is using. And now he's exceptional. He's exceptional. And now he's imperfect. Maybe there's something wrong with you. Maybe you're made of dust. Or maybe you are a goat. I promised my wife that I will end with a thank you note to my patrons, because I basically lived in my office this week doing apostasy and activism, and I think what we've gone through can be used to protect children. And I know it looks like I'm just being goofing around on the farm, but, well, I can show you a screenshot on my computer. It takes a lot of time to editing. So, and I have ADHD, so I basically spend the whole week in my office. That means that my wife has been doing most of the work, and so I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I just want to say thank you to my patrons. You are righteous, honest-hearted, and you will get something invisible twice as big as everyone else. So saith the Lord, Almighty Bob, the shiny bucketeer. See you in paradise.